Are you ready after the lunch? Yeah. Good. So welcome to the topic for it's the monolith a problem. Before go to the topic, I have the sponsor. I actually started a new job this month. This is a new company called Lanes and Plans. So we are doing for the business trip management. You can book for the flight, trains, and your expense. They are great because this is my second week. They already paid for my travel for here. Thank you so much. And I already use the product for this one. I would say it's quite good. And also, we are hiring. So a bunch of tech positions open here. And I have my colleague here, Mark and Ugis. Hey. So they are here too. So if you're interested, you can talk to us. We have the office in Munich and then fully remote job. Okay, the business is finished now. Let's go for the topic. The monolith was blamed for the last decades. Let's say it's not scalable, or it's a bottleneck for the deployment, not clear boundary, it's difficult to maintain, or it's very complex and it's very hard to debug. This is a kind of for the, some people complain about it, and it is, I actually want to argue as well, and also people say that microservice is a solution for it. Really. So it's the monolith not scalable. This is a tweet from Toby, from the Shopify co-founder, and then he said that in the Black Friday, 145 billion requests on Friday, 60 million requests per minute. Is it not scalable enough? It's a deployment bottleneck. So there are many large applications for the monolith applications. So Facebook, it's deploying every 75 minutes. Shopify every 36 to 48 minutes. Is it not enough? And it's a microservice. It's a simple and easy solution to maintain. So I now often hear that microservice health or microservices fatigue. So it is really good solution for the maintain to easy. And think about it, sometimes technology having that trend. And it's like a pendulum, go and back. For instance, it's not only for the text. This is a fashion. This is if you think about for the scale of the decade, and this is, I cannot say well, because I'm just happy for this orange hoodie. So then, but it's, if you see the professional way, so there's a cycle to the trend, go and back. Now see our industry. We're 2025. 10 years back, there's one significant book was published called Building Microservice from I believe Sam Newman. So sorry for if you pronounce it wrongly, but from Sam. And then, same year, Kubernetes was published. Also, in that time, Netflix, they are saying that, migrate is a microservices, and they are saying that this is a good architecture, and it's a living example of the one of great microservices. Let's go back even more. 10 years back, 2004, Rails was published. It's the first versions. It was not famous yet, but after 2 years, I think this is one of major application written by Rails, which is Twitter. By the way, Twitter was bootstrapped by Rails, and after 2-3 years, they moved to Scala. You know what? In that time, what people say that? Oh, Rails is gone. It's not scalable enough. It's hyped. Was it true? And 2008, GitHub was bootstrapped by Rails. Even go back for the more, 1998. XMRPC was the published, and later on, it's named to the SOAP, and it is a basic technology of service-oriented architecture, SOA. And then there is a famous leaked document about Amazon that Amazon, they actually moved from monolith to be internally service-oriented architecture. And this is the era of the SOA. By the way, the Amazon internally moved to this service-oriented architecture, internal services. They decide to make it public later on. You know what? That's the Amazon Web Services. It's very interesting, right? So you can see that some of the trend here. Then we are here now. So where we are. So think about for the what is happening right now. There's a macro trend report from the ThoughtWorks from it's a consultancy, it's one big consultancy, and they are famous for the tech radar. Also, they have the Martin Fowler, and then the last year they published for the new trend, and it said that monoliths rise again. The another fact. So this is a last year, 2023. Prime Video, Amazon Prime Video, they said they move microservice to be monoliths, and then they save the cost for 90%. To be fair, I think I heard that, or written in this document, that they moved from serverless to be monolith. So it's serverless, even far more microservices. So it's very drastic, but that's why it's 90% cost saving. But this is a direction that, microservice to be monolith. The other things. So Rails Conf, so I didn't see this keynote, but so they say that they go 70 Java microservice to be one monolithic Rails application. The another things. So this is a Google search trend for the Rails and Ruby. So you can see that Rails is blue and Ruby is here. You can see that it's a clearly Titan with both. I can imagine, yes. So, but here, there's a spike. So this is a really recent one. So the May and June, a little bit down, but this is I can see the spike for the Rails, not Ruby, by the way. And I think cannot say what is the reason, but end of 2020, Rails 8 is published. And this Hotwire also be there, so might be the reason. This is probably Rails specific, because I compared with like another framework, like they say Spring or Next.js, Django, Laravel. So the spike is just for the Rails. So this is probably the Rails specific phenomenon. And see how it goes. Also think about for the architectures, we all have to think about it, so there is no silver bullet. Monoliths, microservices are the architectures which has own pros and cons. A little think about it for the both architectures characteristics. For using technical languages, monolith is monolingual, and microservices is multilingual or polyglot. For sure, this is one of the main selling point of the microservices. CA and deployment. Monoliths tend to be slow because it's a bigger system. And microservices, one system tends to be smaller, so it's gonna be fast. Tendency. Infrastructure, compared with microservice, monolith is simple because it's one big deployment unit. Microservice is complex. Typically, you need Kubernetes to maintain. Latency is Microservice is high because you need some async or synchronous communication. Network costs are there. Scaling. I'm talking about for the typical scaling strategy. Monolith scaling strategy is a scaling up, so making one machine bigger. It tends to be high cost, limited, but it's simple. And microservice, they are typically using scale out or horizontal scale up. Scale out. It's gonna be compared with monolith, low cost, unlimited, but can be complex. Tracing. Monolith is one system. It's just single instance. But for the microservices, it's gonna be a lot of instances to be tracked. You need some good tracing system or log management. Boundaries. Monolith can be vague, and microservice can be clear because otherwise you can't define. You have to define for the interface to the split services. So boundary is more clear. Those are the characteristics. And think about for the what is a microservice, and I think important to know Conway's law. It's a short word. It is something for the system architecture is reflecting the organizational communication. Microservices can be more solution for the scalability, autonomy of organization rather than tech scaling up. Even after some people say that it is really microservices, it's a kind of for the apply for the organization scaling for the distributing system. And this is another thing for the building microservices from Sam Newman. It's a second edition. And also he said that microservice is often bad choice for the brand new product or startup. So another slide from Christian from last year ago. There are startups that more microservices than customers. I believe it's not the nicest situation though. Yeah, think about it. Another aspect. In order to use another component, in the monolith, it's a method call. Microservice, it's API call, which can be failed. Because of this, you have to think for the retry mechanism internally, or even circuit breaker. But for the monolith, it's never failed. The question is it essential complexity? I have a friend who worked for the microservice architecture for several years, and he actually hated microservices because of this. He didn't find fun for this kind of solving this kind of complexity. So back to the topic. It's a monolith a problem? I don't think so. But I know there's a pain. Then what's the problem? Why people are complaining about it? Think about what is the real problem. There's an interesting tweet from the Jason from GitHub former CTO, and GitHub tried to they are using one of the biggest monolith application, Rails, and they tried to move to the full microservice, and then he regretted the decision. And instead, he said to go to the more gradual approach, monolith, app, service, microservice, whatever. What that means? That means probably there will be gradual architecture between them. It may call modular monolith. And what is a modular monolith? Again, it's a Sam from who writing for the microservice architecture, building microservices. And so I picked a slide from him. The modular monolith is a deployment deployment unit, it's like a monolith, it's a one. But internally, their boundaries and modulars and packaged to be here, packaged together. He also mentioned that it's highly underrated option. We have, so Christian also mentioned that. So we have, for us, our interest is we have Packwork from Shopify, and then you can introduce for the modularity inside of our Rails applications. So we see the trend, and now we're in 2025. This is my focus. What is happening for the next 10 years trend is modular monoliths. And this is even mentioned that for the, I already referred for the report from the ThoughtWorks. They mentioned monolith rises again, particularly modular monoliths. So now we know what to do. So solution is clear. Everything is happy. So again, there's no silver bullet. So this already also like referred. So Eileen from the Shopify, she has like a really nice presentation last year in the Rails world. So modular monoliths not always solve the problem. Then, so what is the problem? In another aspect, if we want to go for monoliths to be modular monoliths, high cohesion is necessary. In my observation, I see a lot in the many projects has this kind of got object. Do you know that? So if you have got object, of course you can go for the modular monolith. And then I think this is a problem. What is a got object? Or you can be got class or maybe got model. So this is a definition is anti-pattern. The single object knows that too much. The characteristic is it's tight coupling, poor cohesion. It's hard to change. It's buggy. It's unstable. It's not clear boundary. It's very tangling. It's simply borrow mood. The real story, this is a symptom of the got object. Let's say you are changing user registration logic and somehow it breaks payment feature. So that's gonna be very scary story, right? And the people, for sure, this is scary. It's hard to change. Even if you think for the software principle, this is a violating open close principle. Example, so let's say order object. By the way, this code is generated by AI. So a lot of concerns and a lot of relationship, a lot of callbacks, and then maybe more than 1,000 lines, a lot of method. And if you see the database schema, it's a lot for the columns. And this is very hard to maintain. Back to the second slide. The monolith was blamed for these reasons. Not scalable? I don't think so. There's a good example. Deployment also same, but still remains those complaints. This is the characteristics of got object. Another aspect, even you want to go for the monolith to be microservices, but if you have got object, you can't. You can have very clumpy applications. Maybe you have to deploy together. They are very dependent each other. By the way, there's a name for this pattern. Does anyone knows? Okay. This called distributed monolith. It is even worse. So you don't solve the original problem, and you even get the complexity of the infrastructure. now we have got object, and then if we want to go for the high cohesion, what we needed is a better model design and refactoring got object. And so come to here, better model design. But the question comes, why and where the got object comes from? Because ISO is so common. To think about it, I think to understand about dry. I think everybody knows the dry. Don't repeat yourself, right? But this is introduced in the pragmatic book programmers from Andrew Hunt and Dave Thomas. The definition is every piece of single knowledge must have a single sorry, that's the, okay. I'm not the best person, but okay, authoritative representation within the system. The point is here, it's about knowledge, not for the code. I was lucky. Last Euroko, Dave Thomas was there, and I actually had a nice chat with him, and he actually also, we had a chat about dry as well, and he actually regretted about it because he believed that he did poor job to explain what it's about. And this is a part I will explain right now. By the way, I met him 10 years back in Tokyo, and then I'm very happy to see him in last year because that time I couldn't speak English well in Tokyo. Now I could talk with him so that I could communicate with him more, so I was so happy. Okay, so back to the topic, dry. Understanding dry, so go for the concrete example. Let's say we have this model, customers, invoice, and receipt. And then, so code looks like this in the model with actively code. So you can see that duplicated code here. Then let's try for this duplicated code. So now we can use for the STI and then introduce a document object as a parent class and then move to the duplicate code to be this class. Now we don't have duplicate code, it's dry. Yes, it's very nice. But now it's a business product or told us receipt is issued after invoice was paid. This for sure, this is a definition, it makes sense. Then let's introduce this logic to be this model. Now it's bit for the adding issue here. So receipt, like for overriding for the issue method, and then so having the checking the validation for the invoice is paid or not, and also for the paid, we introduce for the paid add column, and then check that it is paid or not in the invoice. Then next requirement comes. Invoice can only be issued for company, not for the customer. Okay, makes sense. Okay, let's go. So now it's get more bit complex, but so invoice it's reference to the company, but it's actually for the document. So invoice class has belongs to, but receipt don't. And then because of this, we need to for the validation as well to the check. So which relation is which. Now, also product new requirement. After issuing invoice, it should generate PDF. Okay. Now to be here. So we introduce for the PDF relationship to the invoice and also override again for the issue method. But this is a STI. So this means for the reference, it's go to for the document. So then now we see for this diagram, and then now look up for the document. Doesn't look like got object. back to the first one, the first implementation, and customer invoice and receipt. So invoice and receipt are different. They are different paper. They are different point of issues. So they are different. This is a knowledge or domain knowledge. What is happening here for the duplicate code, it might be coincident. This is a similarity. They are not same. If we keep the invoice receipt as it is now, and then this is another implementation, like for the satisfying our requirement. And then you can create to see that for the dependency, it's much more clear. This is only for invoice. And then maybe at the most we can do for dry, it's a maybe issuing for the date for the markets issued, but depending on the case, depending on the context. So be careful about it. Then also now come to be here, then we compared for those architectures and then see. So this is a boundary. This is a modularity. Cohesion, modularity or boundary, whatever, may appear naturally. Some people say that modular monolith is not something you are going to introduce or you're not going to be pursue. If you do modeling properly, it may come automatically on your hand. So think about for the dry, and also DDD also helps as well to having the better model design. So this is a very short blog article, and they explain the very same things, but and this Matthias, I actually had one workshop with him, so he's, I think, quite good for the DDD, and then it was kind of opening my mind as well. I would recommend to the lead, at least for this small blog. And by the way, after I sent this talk record to the Dave Thomas, hey, I referred my chart to you, and then he replied to me, and then even he said that this is one of best discussion of dry. So I was so happy about it, and so this screenshot after this email, so can I use for my next talk? And then he approved. So this is no worries. So this screenshot is approved to use it, but this means like for this example, it's like I'm happy because I transfer the message, or like I understand dry at least in the good way. So then the another example for the dry, you may not do for the invoice for the receipt, but don't you have this? User, type, admin, customers, or sellers. Maybe make it different because they are different. Or maybe another's, like for the article, and it has an author, and it has status, draft, scheduled, published. It can be different architectures, like for article and draft article, maybe very similar columns, but again, so their similarity, they might be different. Or another things for the order, and it has customer and product, and order has a status accepted and shipped. So it can be different model, order and shipment. So now we see the pattern for the better model design. We know what is the North Stars, but now come to be refactoring. How to get there? Don't underestimate. It takes time because it often accumulated these logics, and then maybe what you can imagine, but it's in the underfoot, there's a lot of code is involved for this kind of for the improper modeling. And then practically, so I would go for the clear business merit to refactoring. Maybe you can't go for the refactoring in sake of refactoring. For example, user. This is I was worked on this in the my client before. this has applications, and it has users, and also its type also there, and then authentication as well. But the point is, like, there's another requirement come from the business that there's a new application want to be introduced, and then they want to have single sign-on. Take this chance as a refactoring. So then, took it here for now. This is a columns for the authentication, and then just pick it here for the, So new applications, so then pick it here, and pick up so the columns to be here. Then, so refactoring the user auth, and then also like put the logic to be here for the authentication logic. After that, I use Rails engine for this, auth engine to be just separate. And then having a different database, and also Rails engine. And then now it's easy. So new application, just mounting this application as a Rails engine. It worked. Now Rails can have the multiple database. When I worked on this project, it was actually 10 years back. So then I have to do some workaround, but probably maybe easier for now. By the way, so this architecture might be the one of example for the modular monolith, because modular monolith can have multiple database. Another example, order, which has a lot of status: new, order, paid, fulfilled, shipping, finished. So it has a lot of problems. For instance, order cannot track multiple shipments. Another one, related order needs another order because it's so tangling for the many, many domains. Or changing order needs another repayment even though price doesn't change, etc., etc. So maybe you can think for the splitting for the model like this. And then another thing is don't go for the big bang release. Instead, let's go for incremental. I think it's 2 days back also, like we have this slide, right? But it's go for the slowly giving the business value for the customer, because it's more easy to talk with business as well. Example. Okay, now we have order. Next step will be just extract a shipment in the merit of tracking multiple shipments. And the next step probably make multiple orders to introduce basket object if you want to change. And then maybe after that, no need to repayment. This kind of thing, slightly, you can move gradually. And for more concrete, okay, this is an order model, and this related method, and for the database column to be here. Then move to be here, just for the move to another shipment, class, and database. And then just move to another table for data, and also method to be here. Order become slim, slowly. And then big bang, big bang release is very risky. Also, this is for the cost, it's high and value is here. And also, if you want to, in the technical, you can use for the stronger figure pattern for the migrating this kind of refactoring. It's gradually, slowly. I don't have a time to explain here in the concrete example, but there's a very, very nice blog post from Shopify, how they apply for the stronger figure pattern for the extracting data with thousands of a lot of data. Like you need for the multiple dates to the data's migration. So they explain with the real concrete code. I think this is really good example for the using for the stronger figure pattern in us. Recap. Is the monolith a problem? No, I don't think so. I would say there is a tendency to blame our technologies. Let's say Java is bad, Ruby is bad, Rails is bad, COBOL is bad. Really? What I see, at least, the problem is often got object which is the issue of modeling. To fix got object, so we need to have the North Star modeling. Dry and DDD will help you. And also refactoring, incremental release with clear business merit. For technique, you can use strong graphic. I already mentioned that. Phrase migration. Or another technique, feature flag for the canary release. Or another technique, shadow traffic, which we don't cover for this presentation, the parallel adaptation. But those techniques can help you. Thank you so much. If you're interested, let's have a chat. I really have your feedback, but I have one more thing. So, last Eurocall, this is you know him, right? So I running my podcast in my Japanese podcast, and then I'm interviewing the people who immigrate to the another countries, and then surprisingly, he came my podcast. So, and it's published in the last year, Christmas Eve, and today, but this is of course Japanese. So today, released English version, translate episode of the maths, and it's AI translated. I come to this slide, but you can take the picture later. So this is the original page, like how it looks like for the we welcome to be here, and then so.
っていう意味ではなんか正確に今ちょっと話聞いてた1ページを刻んでいる
It's a
言語でっていう意
Japanese.
味ではなんか
Then this is a English one. So I use full power of AI. So it's a translation. It's also will be here, and then.
Okay, let's start the 海外移住 channel,
Can you hear?
Living Overseas podcast, Ruby, who is of course invited for Eurocall as well.
Yes, thank you for having me.
In the context of
This
living
voice is
overseas, from
generated
what I
by
just heard,
AI.
it sounds like you have never immigrated, right?
That's right. Well, Ruby is used all over the world. So I go to conferences in various places, but I myself have never immigrated. I've always lived in Japan.
Yeah, it's already published. You see the date, right? During the conference. And then you can see here for all the difference here, all translated, and then you have the content for the agendas, and all tracks transcription also be available of English. So this is the last thing. So enjoy.